This video introduces what I like to call an infectious idea. I call it infectious because once you understand it, you start seeing examples of it everywhere. This idea is the principal-agent problem. The principal-agent problem is a model. It's an ideal type, kind of like a map is a model of a city. The map doesn't tell you everything important about a city, but it tells you some useful things without crushing you with useless details. The principal-agent problem is kind of like that. It doesn't explain everything about the relationship between principals and agents, but it tells you some useful things to watch out for. In its classic form, the principal-agent problem is the relationship between two characters, one of whom we're going to call the principal, and the other we're going to call the agent. The principal is someone who hires an agent to perform a task that the principal doesn't have the time, the money, or the ability to perform him or herself. The classic principal-agent problem, almost all of us have had experience with, occurs when we have a problem with our car. We take it to a car mechanic. In this case, we take on the role of the principal, and the car mechanic takes on the role of the agent. The car mechanic is someone who performs an expert service that we don't have the time, money, or knowledge to perform ourselves. Now, it's true that if we went to auto mechanic school, we could also learn to fix cars. But if you're like most of us, then you probably have more valuable things to do with your time, and so you hire a car mechanic. Hiring the mechanic, though, brings a kind of problem, a principal-agent problem. Hiring the car mechanic puts us at its mercy. Our ignorance of automotive engineering and his experience and expertise with automotive engineering means that we have no idea really whether he's done a good job. The only thing we can really determine is that our car works or doesn't work, or whether the rattle that was worrying us is gone or not. We don't know, for instance, whether he's loosened some bolts that are going to come loose in a couple hundred miles, making us need to come back and get our car fixed again. Most of us have probably at some time or other suspected that car mechanics sometimes create more problems with their cars than they actually fix. We don't really know, for example, if our brakes need tuning or our radiators need a flush. We can certainly choose to believe the car mechanic when he says these things need doing, or we can choose not to believe him. But either way, the fact that we lack the time, the money, or the expertise to really catch the car mechanic when he does try to take advantage of us puts us at a disadvantage, and a permanent disadvantage. Now, you could always say, well, why don't we ask different car mechanics, get a second opinion? But getting a second opinion costs time and money, and our relationship to the second car mechanic is really no different than the relationship to our first car mechanic. They have the knowledge and the expertise, and we don't. So this unequal knowledge between the principal and the agent enables the agent to often take advantage of the principal. The agent can take advantage of us in a number of ways. The agent can inflate costs, making services look more time-consuming or difficult or expensive than they actually are. The agent can create new problems without our knowledge of it. And the mere existence of the principal-agent problem can sometimes make us try to fix problems that we aren't really qualified to try to fix, and thus create even more problems for ourselves, because we're worried that the agent is going to turn us, is going to turn us into an easy mark. Now, the principal-agent dilemma crops up pretty much every time we hire an expert to do something for us, and it crops up in politics all the time, too. When we elect a representative to Congress, they're going to acquire knowledge of politics, knowledge of the workings of D.C. that we don't have, and they're going to be able to use that knowledge against us. Now, the fact that we can throw out the congressman from office is just about as unhelpful as our ability to fire the car mechanic when we discover that he's been taking advantage of us. Our relationship with the next agent, that is to say the next congressman or the next car mechanic, has the same problem as our relationship with the first one. Our lack of time, our lack of money, and our lack of knowledge makes it really too expensive for us to monitor them properly or discipline them properly. So in any principal-agent dilemma, the agent is always likely to be able to get away with something if they're smart and if they're careful. So now that we've examined the problem, what are some of the solutions to this principal-agent problem? Are we always doomed to being exploited by plumbers, car mechanics, electricians, financial advisors, and bureaucrats because of their expertise and our ignorance? Here are some ordinary ways to fight the principal-agent dilemma. One is we can design contracts more carefully. We can design the way we compensate our agents in such a way as to incentivize good behavior. For example, we don't pay them until we feel that the service has been done adequately. Another way that we can try and remedy the principal-agent problem is through screening and selection mechanisms. The principal can look for agents that directly or indirectly have demonstrated their trustworthiness, right? So when you hire a car mechanic, for example, you might want to select people who have successfully fixed cars before, and they've acquired, therefore, a good reputation. So reputation is a way to build trust, and reputation is therefore a way to overcome the principal-agent dilemma. Warranties work much the same way. If you're worried that your car mechanic is going to take advantage of you, you may ask for a warranty. You can say, well, if you offer me a warranty, I'll be more likely to come back to you. And lots of car mechanics understand this in their competitive market, and so they say, well, if there's something happens in this area of the car within the next 60, 90 days, 6 months, a year, we'll fix it for free. And that's a way of helping overcoming the trust problem between the principal and the agent. Another way to help fix the principal-agent problem is to create lots of monitoring and reporting requirements. And by that I mean the principal can require the agent or other parties related to the agent to reveal information about the agent's performance. Now, the agent can always lie or misrepresent if they're required to report facts about what they did and how much it cost, but the more information the agent reveals to the principal, the more likely the principal is going to be able to catch the agent in a lie. Right? The harder it is, effectively, harder it is for the agent to take advantage of the principal, the more information there is out there about what the agent is doing. So one example of this is those "How am I driving" stickers that you see on the back of large trucks. These "How am I driving" stickers are ways for the company, which is the principal, to monitor their drivers. If the average motorist is likely to monitor a driver that's not doing well, that's going to probably make the driver more careful and get rid of that principal-agent problem between the employer and the employee in this case. Finally, you can create some kinds of institutional checks or rules. This doesn't apply so much to the car mechanic situation, but it does apply a lot in politics. It also applies in companies, right? You can create, when one person has too much authority as a result of their expertise, you can create checks to their authority by requiring joint decisions. So for example, when companies have to sign away large checks, and companies are sometimes worried about what those checks are for, the company policy often requires both the treasurer and the president to sign the check, right? It requires both people to sign the check. So making it less likely that one of them is trying to pull a fast one on the company or using company money. In politics, we do this as well. We require checks and balances in government before anything gets done, so as to minimize the possibility that people are going to try and take advantage of the public. So I hope this video has been informative to you guys. The principal-agent problem, again, once you start understanding what it is, you're going to start seeing it almost everywhere.